And in each of those from 2016 to the present day, Italy have lost every single match. Conditions today, perfect, 13 degrees. It's a balmy spring afternoon in Rome. Well, to confirm, the miserable run of the Azzurri now stands at 35 consecutive Six Nations defeats. Very good crowd here in the Olimpico. It's limited due to COVID. And all the Scotland tickets were sold. Isn't that great news to be able to impart? They are here in force. Italy have beaten Scotland 8 times in history, with 5 of those wins coming in Rome, though not all in this stadium. One was in Treviso. 2 of the Italians' 8 wins came at Murrayfield. And it started so well for Italy this year. A 16th minute try from their young winger Tommaso Menoncello gave them the lead in Paris, but that's the only try Italy have scored. Gregor Townsend has decided to go with Rory Darge and Hamish Watson in the back row today. That will be fascinating to see 2 poachers working in unison. Well, England and Ireland have limited Italy to a total of 6 points. A completely blunt Azzurri attack. 17-0 was the score to Scotland in Rome in the 2026 Nations, when that man Kieran Crowley was not the coach. It was Franco Smith. He's taken over this season through the autumn into the Six Nations, and of course he was the coach at Benetton for 6 years, and a lot of these Italian players are Benetton players too. Ali Price, on the occasion of his 50th appearance for Scotland, will lead out his team. Well, the Scots had a bit of a water splash in Cardiff when Scotland were beaten by a scoreline identical to the one recorded at Murrayfield against England. Scotland followed Cardiff with a Big Dipper defeat by France in Edinburgh. Scotland conceded 6 tries at Murrayfield. The final score was 36-17 to France, who missed 12 points worth of kicks. It's worth remembering. 48-17 might arguably have been a fairer reflection, but to be fair, France did get the bounce of the ball. Scotland were forced to attack early from deep to try to claw back the massive deficit. So here comes Ali Price. Of course, he was a Lion, Test Lion in the summer in South Africa. 50 caps for the number 9 today in the Italian capital. And a very large Scottish contingent here to welcome him onto the field. Well, this Italian team fights to the whistle under the inspirational captaincy of Michele Lamaro. Question is, long term, can Kieran Crowley bring what he brought to Benetton to the Italian side? An Italy side bulk supplied by Benetton. And what do they want? Relative success. Relative success at this stage would be making matches tight on the scoreboard and 1 or maybe even 2 wins a season. Well, Scotland simply couldn't handle the power, pace and panache of the often counter-punching style of the French last time out. Captain Stuart Hogg, you saw there, Italian captain, there it is, Michele Lamaro. And Hogg, for the second game in a row, looked ashen and shocked in the post-match interviews. The question is, can Scotland get their second win of the championship here against an Italian team that they lost to in Rome in 2008? Remember, of course, racism is not acceptable in rugby, in sport, or the world we live in. That message will be punched out throughout the Guinness Six Nations. And also, the Italian and Scottish rugby governing bodies stand together in solidarity with Ukraine and its people, strongly condemning the invasion, and our thoughts are with those affected by the conflict. Isn't it wonderful to see such support for Ukraine in the stadium? There's plenty of Ukrainian flags and placards. Plenty of fans dressed as well in blue and yellow tops and various outfits. Sounds like a home game. Always the emotion from the Italians. And their team, a forced change at hooker with Lucchesi and Faiva unavailable. So Giacomo Nicotera comes in for his debut. The tackling machine, Michele Lamaro, captains Italy for the 7th time. Missing some bigger names like Negri and Pelledri. In the backs, Callum Braley is in for the injured Stephen Varney. Leonardo Marin wins his 4th cap and Pierre Bruno is 3rd. 10 players in the 23 have 10 caps or fewer. 11 from Benetton in the starting 15. And in the Scotland side, Matt Fagerson returns to number 8, having missed the France match, as does COVID sufferer Hamish Watson, and the impressive Rory Darge continues. George Turner comes back into the hooker's shirt. In the backs, Ali Price wins his 50th cap, Kyle Steyn replaces suspended Duhan van der Merwe, and Sam Johnson reclaims the 12 shirt. Price and Russell are paired up for the 20th time for Scotland. And the replacements, Angie Capuozzo will make his debut if he plays for Grenoble in Pro D2 in France. Ben Vellacott and Adam Hastings appear on the Scotland bench. And alongside me is Rory Lawson, the former Scotland captain. Well, it's quite an atmosphere, and the Scots are pretty vocal.
Yeah, they seem to have travelled in their droves, and they've been enjoying this Rome sunshine, much like they will be hoping the Scotland players will this afternoon. You mentioned it, Robert, the conditions are perfect. There's barely a breath of wind. It is ideal conditions for running rugby, ball handling rugby today. Italy will be desperate. They will get desperation from the get-go, and I have no doubt at all the emphasis that they will have put on the start of this game, trying to build confidence early.
The referee is Luke Pearce, whose first Six Nations match was Scotland against Italy in the 2019 Six Nations. Well, defeat here on the wooden spoon would be within either side's desperate grasp.
Okay, time your run, please. Time on.
Polo Garbisi gets us underway in the Rome sunshine. Wonderful conditions out there. The wooden spoon Grand Masters, Italy, against Scotland, who need a win to make sure they don't get into a dogfight for the trophy that nobody wants. Scotland do have a cushion, 5 match points clear of Italy, and after 2 successive defeats, the Scots will be busting for a booming win. Callum Braley at scrum half for Stephen Varney. Here's Braley again. Nico Terra on his debut at hooker, and the first mistake, it's Monty Ioane. He's going to get hounded and hunted down by Darcy Graham, who loves a dogfight. It's been a really good form in this Six Nations. The Scottish right wing scored a try and assist as well. So Braley was on Benetton at a couple of seasons at Gloucester. And he launches the high one, chased hard and brilliantly taken by the Scotland captain Stuart Hogg on the occasion of his 92nd appearance. Per Schumann takes it on. Now Ali Price, Chris Harris, can he get outside the Italian defence, which has improved under Kieran Crowley. Yes, they dropped away against Ireland, conceding 9 tries, but at one stage they were down to 12 men, having had Faiva sent off and Steyn's yellow card. Russell goes to the skies this time. Well taken by Ioane, making up for that earlier error. And the ball has been in play now for almost 2 minutes, and it's pretty warm out there in the spring sunshine. Braley again. Back goes Finn Russell. Gives the ball to his old buddy Stuart Hogg, and at last the ball is out of play. Rory Lawson.
Yeah, a little bit of kicking in there, but some superior aerial skills from some of the back three. Good. In particular, that man in picture there, Stuart Hogg, took an absolute blinder. It's going to be an interest, these early exchanges, just trying to find the territory, trying to build pressure in the opponent's half, but honours even at the end of that early exchange, but back on the halfway line.
Big moment for Nosotero, getting his first line-out throw to stick. It was very accurate, and he peels around the corner to Braley. There's advantage here to Italy. Quick ball for Braley to work with. They've got Marine in midfield alongside Ignacio Brex. At fullback it's Padovani, but the Scots are caught, and they're caught in a position that Garbisi might fancy his chances from in terms of securing 3 points. Scotland have won the last 10 meetings between these teams, including one in the Autumn Nations Cup, but they've lost on many occasions actually in Rome, not always in this stadium, at the Flaminio as well as here in the Olimpico.
Interesting there from Luke Pearce saying, watch my arms, and then in the replay that we just saw there, his arms were never up. So he's suggesting to Finn Russell and that Scotland defence that only when his arms drop can the defence move up. On that occasion, he's penalised Scotland's defence for moving too quickly from that line out. It's given a real opportunity for Garbisi, but I think for Scotland coming into this, big buzzword all week long was discipline. The discipline has been poor so far in this championship, and when you come away from home, it's crucial that you get it right.
Well, the Scots averaged 13 penalties conceded per game in the Six Nations this season. Garbisi, it's a low-driven, accurate one from Garbisi of Montpellier. He'll have to work hard to keep that 10 shirt at the French club next season, because they're going to sign Louis Carbonel of Toulon, who's on the cusp of the French squad. Italy have beaten Scotland 8 times in total. 5 of Italy's wins against Scotland came in Italy, mainly Rome, but once in Treviso. So Scotland are the Six Nations side that Italy have beaten more than any other. Taken by Garbisi. He's been so good for Montpellier. He's pushed the World Cup winner Andre Pollard out into the midfield.
Back foot, please. 5.
Pollard himself is leaving the club at the end of the season. He's going to Leicester Tigers.
11.
Now Callum Braley, where's that going to bounce? Out is the answer.
A little bit of a miscommunication in the backfield there. That ball just landing in between. I think it was Matt Fagerson moving back, and Darcy Graham trying to move forward from the box kick. It's not come to anything on that occasion.
First turn to throw. Interesting last night watching the Wales-France game that Wales really competed hard in the French ball and did disrupt Cameron Walkie big style, because he's their go-to line out forward. We'll keep an eye on how both sides take on each other's line out in this game, but this time the error coming from Scotland.
And that's an unforced error. Ali Price here takes it right to the line, but that's a poor pass to Sam Johnson, not one that is Ali Price's centre colleague will thank him for. A little bit floaty out in front of Sam Johnson, who is under a lot of defensive pressure, and that's the kind of error that will really frustrate Gregor Townsend and his coaching team, because you train all week long for that first strike move from a line out in the midfield area, and it's just a basic error that will really frustrate and disappoint Ali Price.
Fine.
Scotland slightly heavier, a couple of bags of sugar heavier, not that much. On the Italian pack. Good scrummage, and really got to be see. Is there a room on the outside? Oh, and there's plenty of defenders drifting across to put the Italians under all sorts of pressure. And in the end, it was the right winger Bruno who was manhandled into touch.
That's a confidence-boosting tackle there by Steyn. You just see he has to wait, and then he manages to get underneath the ball, knowing that Bruno was going to try and bump him off. Gets underneath, gets helped out by Finn Russell, driven into touch. Really good defence by that man.
2 meters.
George Turner Gilchrist, arm in the air at the tail, and the red head guard, there he is. Former Scotland captain. 36 times he's been selected by Gregor Townsend. This the 7th time in a row, so he's one of the coach's trusted men. Price taken by Pierre Bruno. Padovani, he can play across the back line. It's his 18th game at fullback, but he's played out half as well for Italy. Padovani makes a mess of that one. Hogg chased hard, and you see the advantage there of following your kick and taken on across the gain line by Fagerson, and they weren't able to clear out quickly enough. You could see the space was there, which allowed the Italians to get in over the ball and turn it over, and they will see that as a big result of the breakdown.
Danilo Fischetti is so effective in that tackle area. On that occasion, he is the modern day proper athlete, and on that occasion wins the shoulder height from the tackle, and then from there straight over the top of it, and he is a big lump, and became an immovable object in and over that tackle. We'll just see here in the replay, it was a bit of a muddle for Padavani at fullback. Scotland managed to regather, and from there made a little bit of a half break.
Space.
You just look at that. Fischetti
In the middle
Ferguson got away from his support a little bit. They've got to be quicker.
Well, the barrels were there. Joe Schmidt called them the barrels, the arriving players to clear out, but the barrels were a little bit too late. Here is Gorbisi, and it's a confident start by Italy. Their turn to make some impact on that gain line, winning the collisions. Taken on by Cannoni. Really again, Halafia was outside him, but the cross kick. Two men there. Can Russell gather?
By Scotland.
Now
So
Sam
scrum to
Skinner.
Italy.
And a knock on by Scotland. So another chance here for the Italians just to turn that tourniquet another notch or two.
Just a little bit of
We don't
niggle
need
as
that.
well. You can tell the Italians are building confidence. That's a lovely crossfield kick by Brayley. Teams have knocked on from Kyle Stain, which is why they've come back for the scrum.
If you win the ball,
But
it's
they're
taken
just
in,
trying to
okay?
create these 50-50s. And they're kicking in that area. You'd think, why are they kicking the
Find
ball
out.
away? But it was almost a kick pass on that occasion out into the wide channel. This is a cracking start for Italy, who have barely been inside their own half. They've now camped up and will look to build on that 3-0 lead.
12th
Crouch.
Italy-Scotland game in Rome. 6-5 it is to the Scots, so it's been pretty close.
Fine.
Whether in this Olympic Stadium or the Flaminio.
Set.
Scots, though, with a good away record, won 4 of their last 5 away from home in the Six Nations. And that is
Double roll, number
penalised
14.
fiercely now by referees if players are deemed to
Thank
crawl
you.
or roll on the ground.
Kieran Crowley will be cursing up in his coaching box there.
Number 14 roll, took number 7.
It's just a one-on-one tackle. Ali Price pulls down Pierre Bruno, and he just goes for that secondary roll,
Remember your break foot,
which
please.
now you just cannot do. We see here again, it's a good tackle by Ali Price. Hamish Watson there over the top, and that decision is made because Watson is in a position
Okay,
to
one on
steal
you.
there
Thank you.
until that roll
Make
comes
sure he's in
on.
the middle, please.
Pierre Bruno, no
He's
Tommaso
receiver.
Menoncello scored in the 16th minute against France in the opening game, and that's still Italy's only try in the Six Nations after 3 games and 11 minutes. Here's Gilchrist. Italy's defence has been voracious in this tournament. Yes, they've conceded a fairly large number of points, but they've worked to the final minute in every one of those games so far. Here is Chris Harris, known for his defensive work in the attack here. Then Scotland come in off their feet, and this unfortunate lack of discipline that has led to this big penalty count in the championship seems to be continuing.
Yeah, George Turner's turned around and asked the question there, because the Italian defender went in as if he was going to join the ruck and jackal, and then pulled out. George Turner has dived over the top of the ball. But the big thing in around that, and you hear Luke Pearce communicating, you've got to control yourself. It looked like it was a little bit reckless from George Turner, who was desperate to try and get in support. He saw that Chris Harris has gone away, and Nacho Brett has gone over. He's kind of dummied for the jackal. George Turner's hit the panic button and dived off his feet there, and it's another set piece opportunity here. There's a few running repairs. I think it's Lamaro.
Time on, water off, please.
3 penalties already conceded by Scotland. Yeah, Breck's pulling out there. It's clever. Clever, isn't it?
It is clever. I'm not exactly sure what the law is around that, but George Turner has to be in a position to clear him out and stay on his feet.
Over 15.
Nicotero, his throwing's been good. That throw wasn't so good. It might bizarrely have opened a little bit of a window here, an attacking opportunity for Gorbisi. In goes Brayley. Now the big boys, the beefers, carrying into the guts of Scotland.
Tackle, release.
Achille Lamaro on the ball. 59 tackles in the first 3 rounds, and that is a steal.
Onside, Italy.
Luke Pearce said it's a clean turnover. So Pierre Schumann Well, he takes the ball on himself, runs into Rutsa, then he fumbles it. It's another error by Scotland, and they've got the ball away here, and it's Gilchrist has to make a despairing tackle. Italy very much on the front foot now. Off goes Lamaro. And Matt Fagerson, his turn to turn the ball over. It is a frenzy at the breakdown.
It really is. It's carnage. Both sides competing hard at the breakdown. Matt Fagerson there staying in the fight. Even when the clearers came in, he stayed in the fight, was in a position to be able to get his hand on the ball. But my goodness, it is vicious at the breakdown. And it was you could almost sense this collective relief from the Scotland fans in this stadium there, because Scotland have had a really poor start to this game. Discipline is not right, the accuracy, both sides of the ball hasn't been great. They're just seeing here that was Pierre Schumann on the carry, forgetting that he had the ball while trying to fend off the defender. But you see Fagerson there, it's a good contest.
Hold on, please, Tan. Let me know.
But there, the Italian player over the top of the ball cannot touch the ball, having joined the ruck. Matt Fagerson was in the position to nick it and just did enough.
Finn Russell, there were those who thought that Blair Kinghorn might have started at 10 for this game, and Adam Hastings come onto the bench. All sorts of rumours as to why Blair Kinghorn isn't in the 23. Gregor Townsend said it was for personal reasons.
Italy.
Craig Chalmers, the former Scotland out half, said it was because he hadn't had his COVID booster jab, but who knows.
Italy, the next time it's a free kick. Scotland, come in, please. There we go. He's received a headband.
Turner, Sam Johnson. Obviously a prepared play. Here is Finn Russell. Harris now gets outside the defender this time. Again, the breakdown is a real tussle out there. And front football for Ali Price. Can Scotland create something here? They spent a lot of time in this first 15 minutes inside their own half. Here is Padovani, no angle at all to work with. So keeps the ball in play, and it goes to Stuart Hogg. 25 tries he has, record try scorer for Scotland. Gilchrist exploring the blind side through Finn Russell and now Hamish Watson. Two diminutive flankers, the 7 and 6, certainly in modern day terms. Price decides to put the ball into a bit of territory for Scotland.
Yeah, and important just the composure to try and build this field position. I'm not sure Ali Price would have necessarily wanted to put that ball out where he did, but for Scotland now it's a case of just trying to build pressure on Italy, get some territory, start squeezing them and trying to force an error. Just being patient in the fight, and particularly when you get into a bit of the kick tennis, waiting for the opportunity on the counter.
Nicotero.
Good contact.
Scotland competing at that line out. Taken on by Pettinelli. Bram Stein is on, while Michele Lamaro has a blood injury. 10-2. Taken by Kyle Stein, who scored 4 tries against Tonga on his first start for Scotland in the Autumn Internationals. Price again to Russell. And the mark is called for by Eduardo Padovani.
It's well covered by Padovani. There was a bit of space there, albeit Finn Russell had to put that ball probably in a 3 square metre landing area. Padovani did really well to get back there and cover it. A lot of backfield. Italy defending high with both wingers. So Padovani has to cover almost the 65-70 metres of width in the backfield. Did really well on that occasion.
Sorry guys, I didn't realise he was bleeding this much.
Receiving some treatment. He landed two amazing kicks at the start of the season to beat the two Scottish sides, Edinburgh and Glasgow. One was a penalty, one was a drop goal. So Scotland should be aware of that and wary of him. Normally plays it out half, Marine, but picked in the centre by Crowley. And there's the possession stats and the territory in Italy. in that respect, very much on top.
Hang on.
Very much
wait,
so.
please.
And, looking at the stats coming into this, Italy had struggled in both counts. On average, coming into this game, 41% possession, 43% territory. It's really tough to win test matches when that's the case. But on this occasion, they've started very brightly.
Off goes Stuart Hogg. This is Darcy Graham. He's got fabulous footwork. Now George Turner, who's got great hip work, just bouncing players away. Ali Price on his 50th appearance for Scotland. This is their first real attack. Oh, there's space on the outside for Sam Johnson to scuttle his way across the line. And that was really Scotland's first opportunity to break through what has been a resolute Italian defence. But my goodness, did they take that chance?
It's high quality execution. I mentioned the counter-attack. It's exactly what it's come from on this occasion. Stuart Hogg makes it up to halfway, gets it to Darcy Graham. Look at this power from Turner. Bumps off the defender and then manages to link inside. I thought Ali Price here should have maybe straightened, but
so thank you anyway.
Stuart Hogg did his best to get on his shoulder. Ended up getting tripped up. But the ball came back quick enough. Darcy Graham once again there, right in Ali Price's pocket. And from there, it was the ball swung out by Finn Russell, straight into the hands of Johnson. And it was a run in for the centre. High quality stuff from Scotland rewarded.
And that was Scotland's first visit to the Italian 22. You remember against England, they spent, was it a matter of seconds in the whole of the first half in the English 22, and similar statistics today so far, but they've scored their try. Finn Russell, well, he just drags it wide of that post. Didn't play for Racing last week. Adam Hastings on the bench did play for Gloucester.
Ali Price actually does really well here, almost loses it, but then just flings the ball back, I think, knowing that a Scotland player would be in support, and from there it was almost impossible for Italy to find their defensive shape again. It's a great score by Scotland. It will delight Gregor Townsend.
So got a BC with the restart. A bit of a shock for this Italian side, carried by Matt Fagerson.
Okay, Scotland, use
having
it.
enjoyed such
No arms down,
dominance
please.
in the first quarter of this game.
Hold in front. Stop.
Three Italians are back there. One of them is Monty Ioane, nephew of Digby, played for the Wallabies many times, also on the wing. Really, Digby, see. It's the young Bristolian again at scrum half. Really, Gorbisi, massive height on that, gives the Italian chasers plenty of time.
Advantage, knock on.
And as Hogg challenged for the ball, a hand came in.
Advantage
Sam
over.
Johnson, here's Chris Harris. Thinks he sees a gap through the centre of that Italian defence. Quite a few white shirts were there to block his way. Ali Price, Finn Russell, straight down the spine of the field to Padafani once more. So much kicking last night in that Wales-France game. Wales getting their tactics pretty much spot on, but they still couldn't secure the victory against the very relieved and very nervous looking French team. Man who plays in France, of course, for his club, Finn Russell. Oh, that could be intercepted! It is intercepted, they're in trouble now! Carried on by Ignacio Brex. And that's the danger sometimes with Finn Russell. Now it's Bram Stein. Can Italy capitalise? Monty Ioane in possession. Have they got an overlap here? And they can't just create enough space. Monty Ioane goes again through Skinner. Really strong by Ioane. Brought down by Rory Darge. Callum Braley now closing in on this Scotland. Oh, the intercept now by Scotland. Price fires the pass out to Kyle Stein. Is he going to make it? Chris Harris is there. What a try from Scotland. from the other end of the universe.
It's brilliant stuff. It's unorthodox, but they've gone coast to coast. This game is broken up in the opening quarter. Ali Price, Finn, this is Halafihi did brilliantly to read that Finn Russell pass, but from there, Ali Price gets the line speed. Braley, he pickpockets Braley, and then from there has the wherewithal to lift his head. Steyn knew that he didn't have the pace to be able to get in, sticks it on his left peg, and Chris Harris on the inside cheat line. The ball bounces up, and he dives over for a sensational try. It's scrappy, but my goodness, Scotland don't care right now.
Who needs possession and territory? That's their second visit to the 22. 2 tries, this time converted by Finn Russell. Look at the scoreboard now. And how do Italy react to that? Because they've played pretty well in the early stages.
They certainly have. It was a really promising start, and it's a real gut punch for them. It came from the Ali Price line speed, really good anticipation, read it well, and that probably comes from the analysis of his opposite man, understanding how Italy attack inside the 22. And I think you mentioned it there, the importance actually, Robbo, of the words under the sticks there, to be able to, for Italy pulling each other, pulling the team together and talking about how they react to that. Luke Pearce was back on the halfway line. There wasn't a single white jersey that had moved from underneath the post, because the reaction to this is so important.
Well, an absolute brain melt for the Italians to concede a score like that, especially having just intercepted Finn Russell's pass around his own 22.
Okay, use it,
Great
Scotland.
work by Ali Price, obviously.
Down, you can't block with your
making so
up.
much ground and then releasing Carl Steyn. The intelligence of Steyn to use the chip on the inside. Here's Montejoani. Federico Ruzza, top line-out man this season for the Italians. Over 20 he has now. And that's Bruno, who's tackled well in midfield by noted defender Chris Harris. One of a number of Lions in this Scottish backline. They missed one. Duhan van der Merwe, 3-match ban for him for a handoff that wasn't a handoff for Worcester into the face of a Scotsman, Kyle Rowe, coincidentally.
East or west, please, 13.
Not rolling away.
Either
Chris
side,
Harris is penalised. Chance for the Italians maybe to settle
But
down and unscramble themselves.
I think Italy need to find structure again. I think the unstructured game is going to suit Scotland more than it does Italy. And they've lived off scraps in many ways, Scotland, in this match so far. Italy still with the lion's share of possession and territory, and perhaps unsurprisingly choosing to take the option at 3 points here. Just try and narrow that gap, but as much as anything, just calm the entire squad and just react. The 2 Scotland tries came pretty quickly, and it was incredibly loose play that led to both. Now the opportunity for Garbisi to narrow that gap just to the single score.
Well, Italy's most famous win against the Scots was probably the one in February 07 when they scored 4 tries at Murrayfield in a 37-17 victory. Scotland trailed 21-0 after 6 cataclysmic minutes. Italy's first away win in the Six Nations, so you thought the start to this game was mad. It was even madder that day in 2007, but Garbisi will be disappointed with the result of his attempted kick there. They could have done with 3 points there to settle themselves down after conceding those 2 shock trooper style scores to Scotland.
Make sure you're on side, okay, first 10.
Halafihi, big bruising ball carrier. Dooley again.
Clever.
Very clever kick. Very, very clever kick. And try and get Montejoani on the ball. That's the idea. Incredibly dangerous runner. Sam Johnson and Schumann trying to make the tackle there. Cannoni. Grant Gilchrist tackles this time. In grows Briley again. They're just about on the front foot once more with Ioane in possession. Halafihi tries to clear out. Grant Gilchrist yet again with the tackle. Getting assistance from Hamish Watson. Little chip into space. Was there a block there? Kyle Steyn goes down on the ball again. It's Dervish work by both sets of forwards of the breakdown. George Turner goes in there. Now Gilchrist comes off the boot and it's picked up by Garbisi. It's all a bit scattergun at the breakdown at times, and cool head puts the ball into the corner.
Inside the half here.
Again, it's not showing any signs of narrowing things in, is it? The structure that I mentioned Italy might like, but this is again we're gonna see the little chip, hopefully, of Callum Braley. It was excellent work, and again it's pre-planned. It will be something that Kieran Crowley's identified under Steve Tandy's defence. Ali Price defending in the front line on a lot of occasions, and therefore there is a huge amount of space in behind.
Some more. Inside 5.
Scotland have won their last 4 in Rome, their last 10 in all competitions against Italy, including the Autumn Nations Cup. Ali Price. Monty Ioane. Ooh, not an easy ball to deal with again. One of those little chips over the top. And Padavani, can he regather? He does. Good work by the fullback. Chris Harris and Ali Price and Hamish Watson trying to hold him off the floor.
It's a more, but it's from an open field kick. It's Italy scrum.
Came from a kick though.
If he wasn't from a kick, it would have been Scotland's ball.
It's the right decision. It's the absolutely right decision. You just see here, obviously another, again, Padavani identifying the space in behind. I thought Finn Russell could have done better on that occasion there, but he does really well to reel that ball in, Padavani, and from there, Watson gets underneath him, Harris underneath him in that choke tackle, thinking that if they create the ball and the ball doesn't come out from there, Scotland get the scrum. Because it came from the kick, Padavani regathered, Italy now end up with a scrum, and this is a cracking area to strike from. Centre field scrum, really difficult to defend for Scotland. Ali Price will have to make a decision as to which side he goes, and it looks like Garbisi is lining up. You just see there on the left of the screen, lining up right behind the scrum, so he'll probably wait to see where Ali Price goes and sweep to the other direction to try and create that number overlap.
3-2 split.
Set.
On either side of Garbisi, and he goes to where the two are, and they go the other way to Padavani. Is it going to work out for the Italians? And here is Bruno, tries to smash his way through. What an offload inside that was to Callum Braley. Well, as the saying goes, no risk it, no biscuit. They look like they go to the other side of the field. Scotland maybe caught out a little bit by that dummy work behind that scrummage, and they get their try.
Just check touch, please.
But Luke Pearce wants to check for touch because there was desperation about that inside ball. There had to be. The covering was coming across.
If Bruno has managed to get this ball inside, he has done absolutely brilliantly. It came off the strike, obviously down that wing. Stuart Hogg goes a little bit too high there. I thought he might have managed to get him into touch. Look at him on the tiptoes. Bruno has done it outstandingly well. Sam Johnson had committed. Braley is over. Italy have their score. First phase attacking play from that centre field scrum. I mentioned it before the scrum itself, and they have capitalised. It'll really frustrate Scotland's defence. But my goodness, Italy have surged their way back into this game.
Well, that little move from the scrum that you spotted, Rory, worked beautifully.
It really did, and Kyle Steyn just left himself with too much to do. Callum Braley on that outside curve, looping round, and from there Bruno ended up having a 15-metre run-up at Stuart Hogg, and then the power game just came into play.
First international try for Callum Braley. He's got a Sicilian grandfather called Franco. And Garbisi adds the extra 2 now, and you'll see those chests puffing out from the Italians.
Just see here, cleverly choreographed. Sam Johnson was committed in, just turned his shoulders a little bit, and from there Kyle Steyn was compromised. You've got to say Stuart Hogg will be disappointed. He's got to do a bit better there on Bruno. Either secure the ball or get him into touch.
Oh, what a first half hour we've had here in Rome. It's been some epic rugby, some great tries. One a real cat burglar effort from Scotland, going from one end of the field to the other. 2 intercepts involved in the movement, one from either side.
Onside, please.
Callum Braley, that Sicilian grandfather. Any links to the Cosa Nostra are purely conspiratorial.
Sorry, are you talking to me?
Okay, sorry, no.
He's definitely got Italian roots.
He's had an influence on this game. Some really clever stuff. Italy have prepped well for this game and identified where to attack Scotland. And on that occasion there, that would delight Kieran Crowley, because first phase strike moves, you worked so hard on them. That one executed incredibly well. Compromise, tied in the Scotland defence with the dummy run. Braley on the loop round, and from there it was over to Bruno.
Scrappy ball. Scrum halves hate that. Rory Lawson will confirm
Onside, please,
when your second row pops the ball onto the grass just in front of your toes, with the entire opposition pack advancing at pace. Here is Russell, already one intercept pass. He wasn't throwing one there. Goes to the sky again. Underneath it is Padovani. Away comes Ignacio Brex, Argentinian born. Mar del Plata.
Advantage is over. Okay, Italy, use it. No, back, no, 3, go careful. Onside, please.
Braley decides to use Garbisi, and Ioane chasing this. Where's this one going to bounce? Oh, we've seen some very weird bounces of a rugby ball in the Six Nations. Remember the one for Jonathan Dante up at Murrayfield?
Only too well, Robert, thanks for reminding me on that one. But this, on that occasion there, it is clever again. Callum Braley shaping for a box kick, ended up going to Garbisi cross field.
Hamish Watson hits an Italian brick wall. Ali Price, Stuart Hogg through the hands. Is there space? It's Rory Darge. What strength, the leg drive. He's not the biggest of men, Rory Darge, but he's a powerful individual. Now it's Chris Harris, sweeps the ball to Sam Johnson, and he had Kyle Steyn on his outside. Italy have eventually defended it, but the Scots are making meters. Now Per Schumann, the hair bear, carries well. Russell Gilchrist hammering hard, or Turner rather, hammering hard, and away they go again. Scotland, it's Ali Price. He can't quite get there. The clear out is vicious by Scotland. They are going to get the penalty though. Well, Price looked as if he might accelerate his way all the way to the line.
The ball had not fully emerged.
I'm surprised Luke Pearce hasn't shown a yellow card here, actually. This is desperate from Halafihi, who questions him around whether the ball was out of that ruck. But if that ball does come free, and if Halafihi doesn't do what he does, Scotland, I think, have a fairly simple run-in down this touchline. Really sharp stuff from Ali Price around the base. Jacking back to the short side. Here Finn Russell's gone.
Russell goes to Schumann, trying to catch out. Oh, there's
stay
an
down. Stay down.
Yeah, the referee.
Take a knee. I was worried about you. Just take a second.
Referee not
I was concerned.
There's been a lot of concern
I have a
recently
concern
about
in that contact.
head collisions.
Over to you.
We saw one with Thomas Francis in the Wales game.
Scrum, yeah.
Thomas Williams last night for Wales again, who was all over the place, as was Francis.
Hey, mate.
That was a fine line, eh? Because he just picked it up.
So it's something that we brought in new this year. Unless the ball is outside a metre, you can't dive on it. Okay.
So Luke Pearce there saw Nacho Brex, I think, take the clear out and blew his whistle just to stop the game. He had concerns over Nacho Brex, who did question it. As it is, Finn Russell thought the opportunity there was the tap and go. Scotland are going to end up
These guys are professionals.
Restarting this game with a scrum under the sticks, which is, as we saw earlier on, the opportunity that it offers for a strike move is really strong. Nacho Brex doesn't look happy.
Agreement.
But Luke Pearce has done the right thing here, and the medics obviously feel that there is something worth looking at.
Thank you.
Well, he has. I mean, that Wales game, Thomas Francis was propping himself up on the post padding, and he played the following week. You know, there were concerns, and the referees obviously looking very carefully at incidents like that one. And also just clearing up this new directive that the ball has to be a metre away from the breakdown to be played.
Very much so, and that came. Halafihi questioned Luke Pearce again as to whether he should have been allowed to dive on that ball, and that's perhaps why he got given the benefit of the doubt rather than a yellow card. But it's one of these new directives that has come into the game. It will take a little while for the players and officials to absolutely nail it, because there are going to be some contentious moments, no doubt at all. And a big moment for that man there off the bench for this HIA. It's not an area necessarily that you'd want your first moment to be defending on your goal line from a scrum set piece.
Time on. Stop for an injury.
No,
Scotland put into the
Marco
scrum.
Zanon is on for Brex. Zanon, who's played his 11th cap now, but 4 of his 10 caps have been against France, would you believe?
The one benefit of this position, Rob, is that you don't need anybody in the backfield. So you can actually you can see the 6 defenders, the 6 backs all lined up. Callum Brayley, Finn Russell in behind. Scotland, really interesting lineup as well.
Yeah, they're lined up in a sort of arrowhead formation. They're all now drifting right. That's where Finn Russell is. And Halafihi gets out quickly and gets over the ball.
Number 1 collapse.
But the penalty has come with a scrum. Number 1 collapse, says the referee Luke Pearce. That's Fischetti.
Brayley did really well there to get an arm, to grab an arm of Ali Price. Big call this from Scotland, resetting the scrum.
Thank you. Okay, let's bind up, let's go.
You just see here from, again on the replay, Callum Brayley, just awareness. He initially has a look, saying, oh, I'm onside, sir, I'm onside. And then from Ali Price, he ends up getting a hand to his arm and holding his arm, which stopped Price from getting that pass away. But
crouch.
We are back to the same setup. Stuart Hogg and Kyle Steyn just standing just a couple of meters inside Finn Russell with the ability to sweep either left or right.
Let's see if they can utilise that shape this time.
Use it!
Again, those players are crabbing away to the right-hand side. Finn Russell to Hogg, straight through the middle. Oh, did it work? Did it work? You bet it worked. And it's Chris Harris who comes up with the ball. What a movement that was off the scrum. Obviously set up during training, and it paid off perfectly.
Yeah, no worries. I just felt it settled.
Another brilliant score, just execution, and it's a numbers game because all 7 of Scotland's backs go right. You see Hogg sweeping with Steyn, and from there you've got Sam Johnson coming on the underside, keeping the defence honest. Stuart Hogg on the outside arc, and just gives that ball to Chris Harris, hitting the line hard. But the work done in that area, and poor Marco Zanon on off the bench, and he ends up having to hold for one defender, one attacker, and then looks up outside, and Chris Harris hitting that unders line. Really sharp strike from Scotland, and rewarded with a score.
This is Scotland side, you know, through the years I've had some criticism for not being able to finish off opportunities in the opposition 22. Well, they're finishing off every single chance pretty much they've had in the 22 in this game. Not every single chance, but a lot of them.
Yeah, and I think Scotland knew they had to come here and try and be clinical, much more clinical than they were in rounds 2 and 3. It is not the same defensive pressure that this Italian side put on versus the likes of France or Wales, but you've still got to execute, and on that occasion they got it bang on.
Scotland, use it.
So remarkably, 3 tries for Scotland in this first half as it ebbs towards its close. And Mondiani trying to thread his way through the defence. He's so strong, Monty Ioane. He's been in brilliant form this season for Benetton. Scored an epic try against the Ospreys. Again, the Italians on the front foot. Rory Darge gets on the ball. The turnover's good. Chance to go wide. It's Skinner now. Finn Russell clapping his hands. He's going to put that kick, just about stays in play. Dan Biggar launched one of the great 50-22s last night for Wales against France. That wasn't one of them, but my goodness, Dan Biggar played well in the red 10 shirt in Cardiff.
That'll delight the forwards, and it's reward for Rory Darge. Outstanding work at the breakdown, getting over there, getting the steal, and then from there the pack of forwards can lift their heads and their thrust 25 metres further upfield.
Thank you.
Final minute of this first half. In goes Darge again. He was player of the match for Glasgow, first round of the league season, despite finishing on the losing team at the Kingspan. It's not that often that a player that has been beaten picks up the player of the match, but that's how good he was on that occasion. Really came to prominence in that match. To those outside Scotland who hadn't heard a huge amount about him. Here's Darcy Graham, and Monty Ioane says, "I'll have a bit of you, sunshine."
Graham did really well there to be able to get that ball back, because Ioane didn't have to break stride before almost breaking Darcy Graham in two.
This is Gilchrist, one of the two red-hatted ones. George Turner being the other one. Ali Price, and here's Matt Fagerson. So a couple of seconds to go to half-time.
Play on, yes. All okay with me, Stu?
Time is yours. Ali Price knocks it out. And they all head into the dressing rooms. I suspect for a glug or two of holy water, close as we are to the Vatican City, because that must have been an exhausting 40 minutes for both sides. So much was happening. Callum Brealey getting a try for Italy, but it's Scotland who are dominating on the scoreboard with 3 tries themselves. Italy staring at another wooden spoon. Will it be a poor year again for them? Half-time here in Rome. Italy 10 and Scotland 19. Bunkers. Do you want some more bunkers, Rory?
Plenty more bunkers. I'm not sure both coaches will necessarily want that, but I think another B. I think Italy in the second half have to be bold. They've got to come out here and they've got to continue to play, try and expose Scotland defensively. They've managed to find a few little chinks in the Scottish armour in behind with little dinks, and from set piece that strike play to allow them to get into the rhythm and try and build pressure on Scotland. But you've got to say, if they get another score, they'll be right back into this game, and they'll be desperate for that. For Scotland, they need to get a bit more control on this game and actually just manage the gameplay better than they did in the first half, because it was really, really messy for Scotland in that first half, and they took a couple of opportunities.
Stuart Hogg gets us going in the second half. In their first 3 matches in the Six Nations, Italy have scored a total of 0 points in the second half. They're going to need a few more than that in this game to catch Scotland. And a remarkable stat from the first half. Hamish Watson, 10 tackles made, none missed. He's now gone 190 tackles in the Six Nations without missing one. Taken by Fagerson. And in goes the muscular, freakishly muscular Darcy Graham to try and clear out Ali Price and Finn Russell. Ignacio Brax has passed his HIA that was signalled by Luke Price under the post, you might remember. Quick one to the front to Per Schumann and Ali Price to Finn Russell. Now here's Hamish Watson, the tackler extraordinaire, whirling dervish himself. Now into space, is it no? Finds Italian hands. Oh, and the ball just thought for a second that Scotland through Chris Harris might pounce on that ball. Callum Braley, the sole Italian try scorer in that first half.
Clear messages have come at half-time in the Scottish dressing room, certainly. I think just kicking inside this Italian half, trying to pin them back and generate set-piece strike opportunities. On that occasion, Ali Price couldn't find the outcome he was looking for, but Callum Braley wasn't able to respond with huge distance on his kick.
Number 3 has entered.
Said that, nothing
if you
coming
enter,
from
someone
it.
has to leave. You're making an extra number. Number 3 entered before the ball. Just a free kick.
Xander Fagerson penalised, the Lion. Red
Number
card last season against Wales, you might remember. Former
Number
Scottish
3 entered the
downhill
line-out. Nobody
mountain
dropped.
bike
Extra
champion
number.
when he was a kid. And a qualified lifeguard. Talented all-rounder. Good singer too. Kyle Steen. In comes Gilchrist. They're getting those Italian players onto their heels in defence, and now Russell down the centre again. Here is Garbisi into the corner, and that looked like it went straight out of play. So irritating start for the Italians and their coach Kieran Crowley. Not exactly what they needed if they're to claw this 9-point margin back.
It was almost like Garbisi was caught in two minds there as to whether to keep it in hand and counter-attack or actually kick it, and he took it right to the line. You saw actually it was Schumann, a little bit of pressure that potentially just had Garbisi drag it straight into touch.
Stay 2 metres, only enter when the ball is
Italy's loss
thrown.
to Ireland was their 100th Six Nations defeat. Italy and Scotland have won 20 of the 22 wooden spoons of the Six Nations. Fired wide to Darcy Graham, nearly gets past Padovani. Initially got through Mondiowani. Fagerson knocks it on.
Advantage for the
Picked
knock
up by Lamaro.
Advantage
And now
over.
it's Bruno into a bit of space. Back goes Chris Harris. A little bit of lactic acid in those legs, maybe. 2 tries in the first half for the Gloucester centre. Stuart Hogg dancing his way out of trouble and through. He scored spectacular tries from distance against Italy in the past, but not this time. They've got the ball back and they're making meters. The handling is poor, goes backwards. Petronelli clears for Braley. And it's Marine from Garbisi. Ball again goes backwards. Very scrappy start to the second half. They've got the first and second receiver option because both Garbisi, obviously an out half, and Marine has played a lot of rugby at out half for Benetton. George Turner gets over the ball, really strong, clamped on hard.
Yeah, just really good stuff by George Turner. The Italian player getting a little bit away from his support. Support have got to be quicker in there because it's such a clear picture that comes from it. You look at George Turner, initial drags the player to the ground, and then as soon as that happens, he is the immovable object. Stuart Hogg dancing his way away from defenders, does absolutely brilliantly. I thought he was going to dance himself into trouble, but then ends up throwing a loose one away, which gave Italy the opportunity, but Turner now has won the penalty. Finn Russell has driven this one deep into the Italian 22.
Number 14.
Ange Capuozzo coming on for his debut, the Grenoble player, 22 years of age. He's only 5'9" and 12 stone, plays at fullback for Grenoble. And if we see him run, it will be an absolute treat because he really is electric, and I'm not exaggerating. There's a little YouTube compilation of this fella is well worth looking at because he is fabulous, and one of the youngsters who's come through the youth system in Italy is set up by Conor O'Shea and Steve Aboud.
Advantage for the knock.
Gilchrist, and it's been knocked forward. So, yeah, the scrappiness continues.
And for this Scotland team to be able to, they might get away with it today. They might get away with these kind of errors. But when you look at the performances at BT Murrayfield against France and down in Wales, there are too many of these mistakes in Scotland's game at the moment to be a top side. And you just see another one there. Line out set piece strike opportunity inside the opposition's 22. And I don't know if it was a lifter issue or It was the throw just a little bit overdone, but it just gives Italy the opportunity to clear their lines once again.
Well, the Scots had lost only 1 of 43 line-outs on their own throw in the first 3 rounds.
And that is the case, Robert, but it's the quality of ball that they get from them. Against Wales, they were really poor with the quality.
Yeah, that's the bare stat, but yeah, not clean ball. Here's Stuart Hogg. Again, getting away from defenders. He's so hard to bring down. Chris Harris again, just bumping people out of the way, and Stuart Hogg on the carry. Scotland now building. Hamish Watson in possession, gets some help from Gilchrist. Rory Darge it is. Ali Price, little flip move, and now here's Sam Johnson, one of the try scorers in that first half, brought down by Pettinelli. Romaro comes in with a tackle, well past 60 tackles in this tournament so far for the Italian captain. Kyle Steyn. That inside line, Ali Price for Finn Russell, great little offload to Skinner. Would have loved to have been able to pop the ball up there, wouldn't he? Taken on by Xander Fagerson. Troubling moments here for this Italian defence, taken on by Rory Darge. Such a brilliant match against the French last time out. Scored a try. Several poaches as well. High tackle count. Pierre Schumann, good footwork there by the loose head, showing that he can be nimble inside. And Darcy Graham, he should score, he will score. One of the best scampering wingers in the world. What a finish, a bonus point for Scotland.
It's a brilliant finish to an outstanding bit of play by Scotland. Just their ability to look after the ball, continue to ask different questions of the Italian defence. Stuart Hogg once again, the creator-in-chief. He got the ball back for a second time, and then from there, they parked up inside the 22, and look at this ball by Finn Russell. Just almost danced the force field around him, gave the ball on the inside to Darcy Graham, and he does not need a second invite. It was just a foot race through, and from there, desperate for Capuozzo, eventually getting Graham to the ground, but by then, his momentum took him over. A brilliant Scottish score to bring up the bonus point.
8 tries Scotland scored in Edinburgh last season. Italians didn't help themselves on that day with 3 yellow cards. But Italy now staring a 36th consecutive defeat in the Six Nations. Their last win, February 2015 at Murrayfield, 22-19. And it's looking bleak for Italy now.
It is. This is really it's good attack. We're just going to see the end here. But even Darcy Graham there, just the transfer of the ball to give him that opportunity to get the ball away from the desperate defence. He has been on outstanding form in this Six Nations so far and capitalises once again.
Matt Fagerson takes the restart.
Onside, please.
And,
use it.
Price.
Hold in front. Stop.
Puts it back to
9.
Russell. Mondiani's on the end of this. Here's Capuozzo. Let's see if he gets a chance to use that acceleration through a gap here, to see why he's such a favourite down at Grenoble, where he was born actually.
Similar tactic there from Nacho Brex, just looking to push Scotland back and
2 and 2.
give his pack the opportunity to put the Scottish line out under pressure.
Here's your mark.
So important now, it goes without saying, so important that Italy
2 and 2
react positively from this and get the next score.
Receiver, 2 minutes.
Otherwise they're in
Scotland
danger of this
receiver.
game properly getting away from them.
George Turner to Gilchrist.
Some more.
Redhead to Redhead. Off goes Turner. It's been very industrious today as the Scotland hooker.
Okay, Scotland, go steady, go
Playing
steady.
like a man in form.
Use it.
Only Price's kick.
Yeah, send them all on.
Replacements
Good game.
coming on for the Italians. Entire front row. DG, Neymar, Pasquale, and Alessandro Fusco comes on for Callum Braley. Fusco,
your captain again.
who ended up playing in the Ireland game at number 8 in one of the scrums. Scrum half at number 8, and Garbisi was on the flank, because remember they were down to 12 men.
That's a good gap.
Oh, Stephen Varney, of course, taken by Rutsa. So Fusco is on the bench, knocked forward, another mistake. Ball goes way downfield. Hard to see how Scotland can build an advantage from here, but you never know.
Away, please. See what happens, please.
Off goes Pierre Schumann, who's seen a lot of the ball in this second half.
Scotland have lost 20 metres here.
Use it.
I think they're still being given the advantage. It seems an awful long time to be giving a non-advantage from Luke Pearce.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because they went back 20 metres straight away. And as soon as they kick it, they're going to lose the advantage, having retreated halfway down the field.
Advantage over.
There you go. Advantage over. Don't think there was an advantage there, referee. Ho-hum. Modiwane. Maybe he'll find an advantage for Italy through the middle. Great attacking winger, strong winger too, as he proves just there. Fusco. Ball in behind, quick hands. And it's Federico Ruzza who finds himself out in the wing, being tackled by Kyle Steyn. Can he keep his body in play? Andy Brace says no, he cannot.
That's one of the frustrations. I had an old coach that would ask for you to pay him £1 if you ended up going into touch.
For the number 7.
Well, there's proof, if you needed it, how clinical Scotland have been inside the Italian 22. 5 visits, 4 tries. It was 3 visits and 3 tries in the first half. Not bad, Rory Lawson.
To like Gregor Townsend, the performance is still a long way off what he would have liked. And now they want to try and finish in this final 30-odd minutes with some real quality, because they have lacked it. They've capitalised and taken the opportunities when they've come, but they've not created as much as they would have liked, nor have they had as much possession. And that Gregor Townsend, he really does put a huge emphasis on what Scotland do with the ball, how hard they work to get it, and today it's been a little bit too scrappy for his liking, I assume.
Magnus Bradbury's off to Bristol from Edinburgh next season to work under Pat Lam. Looks like he might come on for Hamish Watson, who's getting some attention from the Scottish doctor James Robson, the combine harvester in the Scottish back row when it comes to tackling.
Time on. The line's yours, Italy. The line is yours.
Looks like a broken nose for Hamish Watson, which is always going to be a sore one.
He makes 28% of his tackles with his nose.
Hold!
Good take by Gilchrist.
Ball.
Again, that's a good, strong
Down by
ball.
Scotland.
Nice and cohesive. George Turner goes. Now the ball, is it into space or into arms? Oh, it's the mistake by the youngster on his debut, Capuozzo. Oh, and Padovani under all sorts of pressure, has to slice away. Of course, he'll be nervous. His first cap for his country. And away goes Scotland quickly. Finn Rowe, the knock on by Matt Fagerson.
No advantage, knock on.
Pretty low quality bit of play there. Came from the Italian clear, and Scotland chose to go quickly. You just see Matt Fagerson here
Number 4,
just lifts his eyes and takes his eyes off the ball. Ends up knocking it on open prairie down in that outside channel. That'll just really disappoint Matt Fagerson.
Big David Ceci comes on for Nicola Cannoni. David Ceci, Italian grandparents, born in Germany. Missed the England game as his wife was giving birth. Won the Junior World Cup with England, played in England too for Bath and Leeds amongst other sides. So Alessandro Fusco to feed this scrum. The Napoli-born scrum half, has only made 3 starts in the United Rugby Championship.
Scotland,
so there are quite a few players in this Italian 23 who really do lack experience at any level. Here's Hala Afi'i. He's carried pretty well in this game. He's made his meters. Fusco gets barged off the ball by Xander Fagerson, but they've reclaimed it. Monty Ioane, can he regather that kick? No, Chris Harris does. Here goes Stuart Hogg. Gets support. Ali Price's ball yet again. Finn Russell hooks the ball downfield. This is Garbisi. Oh, Pierre Schumann hits him. Garbisi goes down. Ali Price catches the ball, and the referee says you have a choice.
You missed the ball, you take
where the player was hit or where the ball
he's going for the charge down, but he missed the ball.
penalty.
Nothing more than a penalty.
It's interesting. Luke Pearce saying there, he's gone for the charge down, but he's missed the ball.
So where you kicked it from or where it landed? I'm assuming where it landed.
I'm not sure there's a whole lot in that. It's just a little bit late, I guess, and it is just a penalty being given. Probably just about the right decision. Not easy for Pierre Schumann at 120 odd kilograms to stop when he's going full tilt, but he does have that duty of care. Interesting call here for Garbisi to go at the posts. Met with a few boos and jeers.
Yeah, 26-10. Since their last win in the Six Nations, Italy have now conceded 196 tries, and this might be, if they lose, it will be their 36th loss. Predicted kick success 62% to Starnagle 63. So from this range, even straight in front, it's missed quite a bit. 2 from 3 today for Garbisi. He was standing at 3 from 4 going into this match. He's missed it again. It's hard to believe the only team to have actually led France in this championship so far has been Italy in round 1. How things have changed since then.
He's coming, 8's coming.
Fusco. Stuart Hogg. Another skyward launch.
Well, lads. That's good.
Taken by the debutant Capiozzo. Can play fullback or wing. Normally a fullback with Grenoble.
No, 2 off feet.
44 appearances he's made for them. They're in Pro D2, the league below the top 14.
Italy, use it.
Fusco again. Off goes Ioane on the chase. Was he onside though? Taken by Darcy Graham, and then takes a little bit of Ioane as well. Fagerson's carry.
No. Here's your back foot. Here's your back foot. Okay. That's okay, but now use it, please, Scotland. Yeah, I understand. Let's go then, 9. 9.
Ball slower than evolution. Good take by Padovani, though. Rory Darge goes in. Here's Fusco.
Italy, use it.
Another long kick downfield for Stuart Hogg. He's dealt with a lot of those today.
50-22's
Tries to
on.
spiral it more towards the corner this time, and it's Fusco back there again. Decides to go and take on this Scotland defence. He might get himself into a bit of trouble here. More than a bit of trouble, a lot of trouble, and it was Rory Darge with the pincer move at the breakdown.
Yeah, Stuart Hogg's kick chase of his own kick. He actually went by himself, and Fusco did well to initially sidestep him, but from there he had to get rid. You can see his shapes there. From here, when he gets past Hogg, he's got to get rid, because as it is, Ioane is the only man there, and he has just been led straight down a dead end into the Darge crescent, and from there nothing else was going to happen but that penalty.
Yeah, he gets suckered into the bear trap. George Turner goes. We'll
12.
fill you in on the details
Just,
of the replacements
Just a New Jersey.
in a moment or two. In the meantime, there's going to be a line out from Stuart McInally.
18. We had the free kick against your number 3.
Change of shirt for Leonardo Marin. For blood, he'll be wearing 26 now. And his pecs and biceps getting admired by the crowd, or a section of the crowd.
Just stand in front of him.
It doesn't look like he has a diet of pizza
like
like the majority of visitors to Rome this weekend have been living off.
Deep fried pizza, that was the shout, wasn't it, one of the games here in Rome from the Scottish fans? We're going to deep fry your pizzas.
Wait.
Skinner takes that line out ball. They're inside the 22. Remember, the strike rate from Scotland in these positions has been incredible so far. McInally in possession.
Scotland!
Finn Russell standing very close to the back of that scrum. That's because he's moving onto that blind side. And it was pushed into the path of Fusco.
Onside! Onside! Look at the ruck! Onside 5!
Pascali laid into the squad. Looks like a modern-day version of Martin Castro Giovanni, doesn't he, with that hair? Italy celebrated today before the game. All the players, men and women, who've achieved 100 caps for Italy. Darcy Graham. Off we go again through Stuart Hogg. Now Kyle Steyn checks it. Oh, Darcy Graham was on his shoulder. Here's Price.
Hold in front, please.
Scotland doing a lot of running backwards at the moment. But Price, oh, he's seen the hole. He's clean through. Who's on the shoulder? Was that the right ball? Looks like it was. Stuart Hogg showing that Scotland really do have a jagged edge today, serrating this Italian defence once again.
Yeah, and it's the 50 capper who's created it. It's a tiring Italian defence. Ali Price looked like he had all day to look up and consider his options. He did, and then the footwork to go on the Brex's inside. Where's the Italian defence there? And from there, zips one off his right hand straight into the paws of his captain. And Stuart Hogg will struggle to find an easier run-in in his 26 tries now for Scotland. But he goes straight across to Ali Price, another leader in the squad, and says, thanks, chum.
I understand, but just be careful the way you're screaming, OK? We're always looking at it, I promise.
That's just sad because they hit me.
I understand, but thank you anyway.
Halafi, I think, asking the referee, should it be checked for a forward pass?
Oh,
interesting, Ali Price, I've said about the decision, because he had the full arrowhead, didn't he, Price? He had players left and right as he made the break.
Yeah, Hamish Watson was off his left shoulder, but I think there was an Italian defender relatively close to him, and he saw the gas on the outside, didn't he?
Aye.
There was nobody that was going to get close to Stuart Hogg. I think Halafihi was potentially asking whether the pass was forward, but it was a perfect pass by Ali Price. Stuart Hogg didn't have to break stride. Scotland capitalised after what was a poor 10 minutes in this match, actually, but from there they've managed to get that momentum going again.
Very high kicking percentage for Finn Russell in this Six Nations, which he adds to, or certainly keeps that percentage high. 33 points to 10 into the final quarter. Hard to see how Italy will come back from this now.
Italian defence looks exhausted in this game. Question the fitness, but it's also it's mentally incredibly difficult for this Italian side to get themselves back into this game.
Magnus Bradbury takes the ball. He's on for Matt Fagerson.
Scotland, use it. Yeah, take him back. 9.
It's taken back in, so the box kick is the likely option from Ali Price to keep the ball in play. Capojozzo goes up and takes it well. He's only 5'9" and 12 stone, quite small for a fullback. He'd actually be quite small for a scrum half. Brex, and just taken to the second attempt by Halafi. Brought down eventually by Sam Johnson, who got this Scottish strike force underway with the opening try of the game. Here is Pettinelli. Ioane clears out for Fusco to deal with. Carried on by Neymar. Argentinian-born replacement prop forward. Padovani. Halafihi, a real strength there from the New Zealand-born number 8. Looking to offload, keep the ball alive. It's really good work by Pasquale. And now into the space for Monty Ioane to chase, and the ball just did not bounce for him. But offside against Scotland. Back for the penalty. Thumps the turf, so frustrated.
It's Italy's best attack of the attacking play of the whole match.
Offside. Through
Through the multi-phase, they found good shape, they got good speed of ball. This is really clever. If this ball bounces up, Ioane is the one-on-one with Stuart Hogg. 5 metres out as it is, the bounce of the rugby ball evades him on that occasion.
Again, it'll be a scrum.
Two tries for Monty in the Six Nations last year against England and Wales.
Of course, but don't take the...
Luca Bigi is on. Lucky to be playing today because he had a bit of a night fever.
8th receiver. He's gone.
I'll get my coat. Bigi, good line out. Petronelli takes it.
More.
Crowd roars. 41,214 in the stadium. Limited due to COVID to 75% of capacity. 75% is 45,000, so a very good attendance. Bulked up by the Scottish support. Sold all the tickets available.
Say more.
And here's Bigi, the former Italian captain. The tail of that breaks away.
Okay, hands away from our tackle line.
Again, it's got very messy in there. Fusco has the ball though. Pasquale goes into midfield. Here he is, takes the ball. He's carried pretty well since he's come on, showing that freshness that Italy definitely need. They do look very tired defensively. Ioane again. He wants a try. He's worked really hard in this game, in attack and defence. Fusco. Look again, Hamish Watson getting over that ball. Does he get the clamp in? Not quite. Fusco. Chance on the outside here. That inside ball is beautiful. And there's the footwork we told you to look out for. Ange Cupo-Ozzo on his debut for Italy. He's been doing it all season for Grenoble. Go and watch his highlights tape. He is quite something.
What a moment for the debutant. Brilliant footwork. He looks like he's only just out of mini rugby. He's proper baby-faced assassin. And on this occasion here, Brex gives him the ball, gets the ball into the wide channel early. Padovani understands that the defence has him covered with Kyle Steyn, but there's Kyle Steyn's inside defender is a little bit away. I think it's Alan Dell. And from there, you just see the footwork from Cupo-Ozzo. Gets beyond Stuart Hogg, dives over, and the youngster gets a 5-pointer on his first game for Italy.
Yeah, he played in the World Cup in 2019. The conversion is complete. So the Italians get their second try of the game, thanks to the teensy-weensy Ange Cupo-Ozzo, and he is 5'9", 12 stone. Lovely footwork.
First points for Italy in the second half in this championship, Mark. It's you know, you're not going to win or compete in many games if that's the case. It's maybe just giving them something, that little scrap that they needed to build a touch of belief.
Yeah, their final game next week is in Cardiff against Wales. Gets Super Saturday underway.
50-22.
Stuart Hogg drills it low, looking for the corner. Cross comes Fusco.
Hold Italy!
It's a good net gain there for Stuart Hogg, really clever. Just lifts his head, sees space in behind, understands that Fusco's going to be back there, but goes for the 50-22 and chases it so hard that he ends up making his side 25 metres just from the kick that hits ground, hits grass. Hard
Italy,
chase. Fusco doesn't have the biggest kick as a scrum half. It's a good platform for Scotland to launch from.
McAnally.
Maul! One, Scotland!
Skinner takes again.
Okay, 2. Use it. Through the mark.
McAnally breaks away. Ali Price for Sam Johnson. Here's Finn Russell. Remember this Italian defence looking pretty exhausted. Stuart Hogg brought
Backwards.
to ground. Ball goes backwards. Is there space for the ever-willing Darcy Graham? He's always sniffing and sniping, isn't he? Carried on by Alan Dell. Russell once more. Chris Harris on a hat-trick. Chris Harris. Can he get the third in the last 11 minutes here? He's always hovering around the ball, Darcy Graham, or coming in to find it. Carol Stain felt that, I think. Finn Russell again, Sam Johnson. They're always looking down those wider channels, Scotland here.
Okay, use it.
Here's Bradbury.
Italian defence continuing to work hard. They're actually forcing Scotland back here. They've got the turnover.
They have, and it's Capuozzo was going to test the defensive skills of Hamish Watson. I think the crowd love this young fella already. He's only had the ball a few times, but they're on their heels here, Italy, and the kick works out for Ioane.
Oh, brilliant.
He gets away from Chris Harris, does really well. It's been like a badger out there today, as Monty Ioane, and Hala Fihi has worked really hard too, so credit to those two players amongst many. The work rate's been high. Drex on the outside, Capuozzo. Now Pettinelli. Pettinelli's through here. Capuozzo on his shoulder. Fusco. Stadio Olimpico crowd want another try from this Italian side in the last 10 minutes. And that's going to bounce for Stuart Hogg. Penalty.
11 blue.
Another offside decision against the Scots. Kyle Stain is the player who's penalised.
Okay.
Sides talk about making stadiums fortresses. Italy have now lost 22 Six Nations games in a row in this stadium, and 26 in a row in all games in this stadium. If they lose this one.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's really tough. And when you consider, I was having the discussion about some of the Italian Centurions this morning, and when you think Sergio Parisse lost over 100 Test matches for Italy, it is, you know, they've had a tough time of it, and the debate continues around the place in the Six Nations. I personally think that they should be in Six Nations, and that they are building something. They have to get better at a rate quicker than any other side in the championship, but the systems they have in place, the age group status that they have, they've knocked over both England and Scotland in the under-20s in the championship. And I think that in a couple of years' time, I think this Italian side is going to continue to grow, and you can already see that with the likes of Garbisi coming through, Marin. We're seeing today Capuozzo for the first time, and I think they need a couple of big players to come out of their age group system to take on the mantle that's been left from the likes of Castro Giovanni or Parisse or Marco Bortolami, some of those big names.
Yeah, and the Italian under-20 side beat Scotland last night in Treviso, so even more youngsters coming through. And flat back on the Scotland side. Got to be careful though, Darcy Graham, who is the kind of player who thinks he can escape from anybody at any time and go the length of the field.
That's right, Craig.
Escape from a straitjacket, I'd say, on occasions.
Lads, there's a lot of people here. Line is formed.
Graham. It's a good steal by Sam Skinner, but again, we just see the bounce of the rugby ball. Biji piling through to put pressure on.
Scotland.
Frustrated that they didn't win the line out, but he'll get another shot at it here.
Okay, 9, stay 10.
Biji again, and it's Ruzzo once more. Over 20 line-out takes in this Six Nations.
Advantage 18, lifting legs.
Gwali and Biji. Biji has his arm hooked round. Going all the way, are they? Taking a lot of blue bodies to stop them.
Back we come. Lifting legs, back here.
Now,
Number 18, lifting legs,
lifting legs in that maul, which you cannot do. Garbisi shaping to go into the corner again.
What's the call, please?
Biji,
okay, line is yours.
tap and go.
Yeah, why not? Three massive men, but Biji goes wide straight away to Bram Steen. Carried on by Zanon. Bram Steen, who wasn't in the 23 this morning, a late addition. Another try is there on the outside, and Kyle Steen comes across and makes a very important tackle indeed for Scotland.
It's that same flank again. Italy looking to get down that right touchline. Steen and Hogg end up defending it pretty well in the end. Big shot there by Staines, helped out by his captain. Marine just muscled into touch.
Short line out for
everyone is shouting at me. Are the numbers matched?
Scotland.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Let's play.
Skinner and Gilchrist beside each other there. Taken on by Bradbury. Ali Price's kick. Taken by try scorer Capuozzo, and pressure is put on the excellent Monty Ioane. Another penalty, one at the breakdown, and Italy have started to get, or Scotland have started to get control of that area against the Italians.
Yeah,
Darcy Graham goes quickly, Rory Darge goes in, playing scrum half to Finn Russell, Chris Harris, lovely long wide pass to Stuart Hogg, and off goes Magnus Bradbury, a man who's got plenty of pace. Be interesting to see how he goes at Bristol. Price once more. Kyle Steen. Scotland looking to add to their big try tally in this last 5 minutes. Finn Russell, they've loved that little inside ball today, Scotland. They've used it quite regularly. And now Price, what's the bounce going to do? Takes the ball out of play for a liner. Ali Price, remember, on his 50th appearance for Scotland today. He's had a pretty good game, and now a raft of replacements on for Scotland, including Adam Hastings, who wasn't in the original 39 announced by Gregor Townsend for this competition. He's played the last couple of games for Gloucester at 10, and Ali Price comes off.
Probably should have been
celebrating his 50th appearance with a victory.
Scotland space, please.
And obviously contributed as well to the setting up of a number of tries.
Yes, let them
that
come in
beautiful
as well.
pass on the outside for Stuart Hogg, one of the highlights. Up goes Rutsa and Fusco. Alafihi carries.
Italy, use it!
Away by Alessandro Fusco. Young Italian replacement scrum half, and there is the Guinness Six Nations player of the match. What a day, what a moment for him. His 50th appearance for Scotland, Ali Price. Lions Test player as well in South Africa, so it's been quite the season. McAnally, up goes Bradbury. It has been a problem this season. They have got their hands to a lot of line-out ball, but it's been scrappy on occasions. Gives Italy a chance to break through. Monty Ioane, can he get the bounce this time? Hasn't quite been his day in that respect now. Off goes Marine.
Advantage, not gone.
Advantage to Scotland. Hamish Watson gets it away. Scotland prepared the attack from anywhere now, and why not? Here goes Magnus Bradbury again, taking the pass from Ben Vellacott. Vellacott was on the bench for Edinburgh last week against Connacht, scored a try off the bench. Huge win they achieved against Connacht at the Dam Health Stadium. Mini Murrayfield, as they call it, right beside the big beast. Off goes Vellacott again, almost gets away. Scotland nearly getting through. Now is there space on the outside? Darcy Graham is holding his width here. Here's Hamish Watson. Watson through the middle, gets support from Vellacott. Tackled by Ruzza. He's worked hard too for Italy today, trying to break down this lagging Italian defence. That's Rory Darge. Tuipulotu, who made way for Sam Johnson today. Gilchrist carry, 2 minutes to go. Scots would love to take it to the 40-point mark. Neither converted try. No look pass from Stuart Hogg, and he no looks it forward.
That's it.
Scoring his 26th try for Scotland. 2 ahead of anybody else. Ian Smith and Tony
Time off,
Stanger,
2 players down.
both on 24. With 187 metres on his own from 11 carries, and he's broken 6 tackles. Well, he'd broken 6 coming into this game, so that's a dozen tackle breaks in 4 matches in the Six Nations. Pretty outstanding stuff from the Scotland captain. Kind of thing that fella used to do in his prime. Scotland coach Gregor Townsend.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
Italy's last home win in the Six Nations now 9 years ago against Ireland, losing 22 in a row.
How is he?
Here.
You
So
sure?
a pretty dismal day for Kieran Crowley. Sure, he'll take something from it. The work rate again has been good. They've kept on fighting.
Everybody up. Time
But
on.
Scotland have just been extremely clinical when in strong attacking positions.
Just keep that break for that, not the last one. Will you?
Italy losing 37-10 to France in round 1, despite a good start there, that Menoncello try. 33-0 to England and 57-6 to Ireland. With that scoreline a little bit lopsided. 9 tries for the Irish. They lost their first hooker Lucchesi to a broken arm, then Faiva was sent off. They had to lose a man playing with 13, then Bram Steen got a yellow card. So it all went horribly wrong down in Dublin. And this is their final home game of the season. Fusco. One chance maybe remaining to finish with a score, and it's Mondiani, maybe being the Italians' player of the match. Into the space from Capiozzo, gives the ball away though to Kyle Steen. Sione Tuipulotu, Greenock grandmother,
Good work.
Tongan descent. WP Nell and now Stuart Hogg. Stuart Hogg running a parabola. Kyle Steen was the intended recipient. Should be time for one more play. The line out. Well, Italy have conceded over 30 points a game in all of their matches so far in the Six Nations. And it's up to 25 tries, I think, if my maths are correct.
6 man.
Last season they conceded over 40 in all 5 Six Nations games. So it is the final play of the game. Ruzza takes the ball. Here is Halafia. Good game from the big man, using his 16.5 stones well throughout the match. David Ceci pulls it back. Capiozza gets support, and that looked a little bit high, was it? Rolled around the neck. Luke Pearce isn't too interested. And off goes Zanon. Marcos Zanon does well. Held by Watson. Ceci once more. And Brax gets it into the middle of the field through Lamaro. Magnus Bradbury and Grant Gilchrist trying to hold up, but the ball is on the ground. Fusco once more. Gilbisi working hard to beat defenders. Good defence by Scotland. 3 men there in dark blue shirts. One more turnover will do it for Scotland. They're not going to get it though. Here's Monty Ioane. Oh, smashes defenders out of the way.
Knock on.
Now it's Brex. There's been a knock on. Advantage to Italy.
Just advantage for the knock on in the tackle. Advantage over.
Well, the advantage is over. Good tackle by Gilchrist, but Zanon did well to make half a metre again. Pasquale's been really busy since he came off the bench. Is there a way through this Scottish D, as directed and coached by Steve Tandy? Fisco once more. It's the little fella again, Capuozzo. Gets support from Lamaro. Here's Gorbisi. This is good rugby. Federico Ruzza. Magnus Bradbury with a tackle. Stuart Hogg has to help him. Fisco. Is Capuozzo going to get another one? Oh, can you believe that? On his debut, the 22-year-old. Well, the lad who runs like a kid making a getaway from a sweetie shop. He's that slippery customer. He's diminutive, to say the least. But heavens above, can he finish? And he's in the right place at the right time again. Look at the work done by Ruzza through the middle of that Scottish defence, putting him under all sorts of pressure. But again, it's that step, just takes out the Scottish defence. New star for the Rome crowd here to applaud and to appreciate. And they've got the finish that Italy wanted, that Kieran Crowley wanted, that the crowd wanted. Polo Gorbisi has hardly got the breath to take the conversion. Feels like there's been a huge amount of ball and play time in this match. Look how hard the out half is breathing.
Okay, Stu.
Well, out of puff and no direction from Paolo Gorbisi. Disappointing look on the face of the coach, Kieran Crowley, and another disappointing result for the Italians. Ali Price, the Guinness player of the match. And well, at least they did get 3 tries today. Italy, yeah, got it once more to lose, especially at home, in a match they will have targeted against Scotland, who now come off 2 defeats with a victory. Scotland's first away win of this 2022 Six Nations campaign. Final score at the Stadio Olimpico: Italy 22, Scotland with the bonus point 33. For Scotland last year, they beat England at Twickenham, they beat France at the Stade de France with that 84th minute try from Duhan van der Merwe after 20 phases, you might remember. They're now securing their first away win of this 2022 Six Nations campaign. Great day for that young fella walking through shot, Angers Capuozzo. 2 tries for him. Hamish Watson making his usual high quotient of tackles. 17 made, none missed from Hamish Watson.
18. So
he's now up to 197 without missing a tackle in the Six Nations, all told. Gregor Townsend's not smiling, but he'll be pleased to get that success. Here's the table as it stands, with 2 games played in round 4. France beating the Welsh 13-9 at the Principality Stadium last night. 1 try from Anthony Jelonche, and Scotland with 10 points, having put away the Italians today, getting the bonus point along the way. Later on this afternoon, England play Ireland at Twickenham. Well, there was some talk before the game that it might have been the day to give Blair Kinghorn or Adam Hastings, who came in quite late, a shot at 10, but Gregor Townsend, after a couple of rather disappointing performances by Finn Russell, wanted to see his ace 10 get another run at it. All smiles for that young man who will never forget this day, will he? Ange Kupuotso. 2 tries for him. Bram Steen, one of the old hands, congratulating him. Italians applauding off this Scottish side. Okay, let's hear from the Guinness Player of the Match on his 50th appearance for his country with Rory Lawson. It's Ali Price.
Ali, 5 points, an away win and a kiss on the head from your captain there. What's your overall assessment of your afternoon's work today?
Yeah, I mean, job done. We came here to get 5 points, and that's what we've managed to achieve. So, in that aspect, yeah, very good. Still so much growth, though. We got made to work very hard, I think, for the scores we got. A lot of those came off turnover. I think there's still a bit to look at in terms of our attack and creating opportunities for ourselves. But, yeah, we dug it out. They came back at the end of that game, the last 10 minutes. They didn't die off. They stuck in. But yeah, 5 points.
Well, you mentioned it, they continued to fight all game long. I sense a bit of frustration